My beloved child, there are moments in life that resemble crossroads from which one cannot turn back, and right now you are standing at exactly such a place. This is not merely a significant milestone. It is a threshold between transformation and collapse, between a life lived in fullness and a string of meaningless repetitions. You have known this for a long time, not because someone told you, but because your soul has whispered urgent signals from within, yet you have delayed. You let the days pass as if they were endless, as if there would always be a tomorrow to make things right. But, my child, the tomorrow you have been waiting for is no longer standing by. It has retreated, leaving you with a serious choice, one that no longer allows for hesitation. I do not blame you, but I need you to look clearly at what is unfolding. Your delay is not just a small action, it is a spiritual breach. When you hesitate, heavenly things are delayed as well. There were opportunities I placed right within your reach, but because of distractions, because of the glittering appeal of the temporary, you turned your gaze elsewhere. You didn't realize that the voices you allowed into your mind gradually drowned out mine, and what grieves me most is this. There was a time when you heard me so clearly, during sleepless nights, in trembling moments of prayer, and in those times when you knelt in tears. My voice was once alive in your heart, but little by little you began to doubt, waiting for another sign, for a different confirmation from people. And while you searched for reassurance from man, you missed the divine moment heaven had appointed. And, my child, this is no longer the hour to simply listen. This is the hour to act. Not all action is acceptable, but only that which is rooted in obedience, a kind of obedience that doesn't rely on emotion, that doesn't require full understanding, but that springs from trust in me. I am stirring your spirit because I know what is approaching. The shifting is not only happening around you, it has already begun in the spiritual realm. Sacred gates are opening, but they will not remain open indefinitely for a soul that is still wavering between heaven's call and the comfort of the world. This is a sacred hour in which your decision carries eternal weight. You are no longer standing between two paths. You are standing at the threshold of destiny, and I see your trembling heart. I know the hidden fears you've never spoken aloud. You are afraid of losing stability. You fear losing relationships that you think will sustain you. You are hesitant to step into the new because the old still feels safe. But my beloved, you were never created to remain in your comfort zone. You were called to cross vast seas, to climb great heights, to step into things far beyond your own ability. It is in that very uncertainty that I will be your unshakable strength. But if you do not dare to leave the shore, you will never see my hand part the waters for you. If you do not step away from what is familiar, you will never enter the land I have promised. Look again at what has passed. How many times have I awakened you through dreams, through the voice of strangers, through unexpected turns of events? How many times have I tried to remind you? Through love, through the gentle touch of the Holy Spirit, through sacred silence. And each time you delayed with reasons like, later, it's not time yet, or I'm not ready. You thought you needed more time, but in truth, time is the very thing you have little of. And today, I no longer speak in parables. I use no metaphors. I speak plainly, because urgency is knocking at the door of your soul. If you do not act in the light, darkness will take its place. If you do not rise from me, other things will pull you down. This is the moment when you must tear down every excuse and clothe yourself in courage. Not the courage of the flesh, but the kind that flows from faith. Faith that I will never abandon you. Faith that even when you do not see the entire path, I am still guiding each of your steps. Faith that what I have prepared is far better than what you are currently holding on to. My child, do not trade your divine destiny for the comfort of delay. Do not let a season prepared for victory turn into a season of regret simply because you could not decide. I am still waiting, not with eyes of anger, but with a broken heart. For I see deep within your soul a response yet unspoken. I know you still love me. I know you still long for my presence. But my child, love without action cannot rescue you from the floods that are coming. Love not expressed through obedience will soon be swallowed by the whirlwinds of circumstance. Today I am not asking you to do what is beyond your strength. I am only asking you to respond to the call. Just one step, and I will guide you into the next. Then I will clear the way. Then I will open the doors. But you must begin. Because if you do not start, the journey will remain a beautiful idea in your mind that never becomes reality. If you do not dare to move, you will sit and watch others walk ahead while silently lamenting. And my beloved, regret is one of the heaviest burdens a soul can carry. Do not let it become your portion. Do not allow your later years to be a string of sighs whispering, "If only I had obeyed." I want you to live without the need to say, "If only." I want you to walk in fullness, with feet upheld by trust, with eyes wide open to the light of revelation. So rise, shake off the dust of fear, brush away the fragments of hesitation. Offer me a tender heart, willing hands, and a soul that longs. For when you do, I will not leave you alone. I will send angels before you to prepare the way. I will pour out my Spirit to strengthen you. I will do what you cannot, if you will simply do the one thing I have been waiting for. Follow, and as you take that step, you will see, not with the eyes of flesh, but with the eyes of faith, that it has never been too late to begin again with me. Yet remember, with every moment you delay, you are losing a piece of the harvest I have prepared for you. You were not created to sit comfortably among distorted values that the world celebrates. You were not shaped to blend in with the crowd, to live for human approval, to bow to the cheap comforts society paints as blessing. No, you were formed by the hand of the Creator, given breath by the eternal Spirit, and called to live with the authority of one who knows where they belong and why they exist. You are not a product of fear, nor the outcome of half-hearted decisions. You are a warrior, anointed for such a time as this, a time that is not easy, but it is glorious. And yet, I have seen your hesitation. I have watched the moments when you knew what was right but still paused, searching for another excuse, reasoning your way into delay. I have witnessed the battle within your soul, the tension between my voice and the whispers of doubt, and I say this to you with love, but also with urgency. The time for wavering has ended. This is the hour where hesitation must no longer have a seat at the table. This is the moment when your soul must step out of the shadow of uncertainty and into the light of faith. You have heard the call. You have been reminded again and again, through Scripture, through life's events, even through prolonged silence meant to emphasize this truth. I am waiting. But you have delayed. And delay, when prolonged, does more than steal opportunity. It numbs the spiritual sensitivity within you. You say that you cannot see me, that you cannot feel my guidance. But, my child, it is not because I am hiding. It is because you have not taken the first step. Light does not illuminate the entire path at once. It reveals only the next step, and that step appears only when you dare to leave where you are. Faith is not about knowing how everything will unfold, but about trusting that I will be there, no matter what comes. You once sang, "God is faithful," but now is the time to live that truth, not just sing about it. I do not speak these things to discourage you, but to awaken you. Because, my beloved, if you remain standing still, the doors will not stay open forever. There are opportunities, assignments, and territories that I have set apart for you. But if you refuse to step in, those things will not wait endlessly. The window of grace has limits, and when the season shifts, what cannot move with the season will be left behind. I speak plainly because I do not want you to be caught off guard. What you are sensing is no coincidence. It is a divine warning. It is a reminder that the current season of grace is drawing to a close. Every delay, every attempt to negotiate with the call of heaven will result in a painful reality. You will watch others step into what was meant to be yours, not because I show favoritism, but because I am looking for those who are willing. If you do not go, I will raise up someone else. This is not rejection. It is how my kingdom moves. The plan is greater than you, and I cannot allow it to stall because of one person's fear to trust. Oh, my child, you are not late. You are not forgotten. I have prepared you. I have invested in you, shaped you, refined you, and carried you through seasons of testing. Every tear, every wound, every sleepless night was not in vain. They were all part of the process of preparing you for this very hour. I have led you through places no one else could understand. You walked through seasons that felt like darkness, but it was all to teach you how to recognize my voice, to distinguish between the genuine and the counterfeit, to stand firm when all around you is shaken. And now, you are standing before a door called mission. You must not turn back. Remember the dreams you once had, not the small personal ones, but the grand visions I planted in your heart. Didn't you cry out for me to use you? Didn't you long to see my power move through your life? Well, now is the moment I am answering. But my answer does not come in a gentle breeze or the comfort of ease. It comes in the form of a call to action, a divine urge to cast off everything that holds you back and to step into what I have prepared. Rise up, not because you feel like it, but because you choose obedience. Do not wait for motivation before you move, for motivation is fleeting, but obedience unlocks destiny. Be faithful in the first step, even if it seems small, for that step will lead you into a journey no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no heart has imagined. And do not think you must be flawless to begin. I am not looking for those without scars. I am looking for those willing to place their scars into my hands. I do not need you to do something grand this instant. I need your heart to respond. A heart that says, "Here I am." is more precious than 1,000 promises never kept. If you will simply walk, I will strengthen you. If you will obey, I will clear the path. If you will let go, I will fill you. If you will find safety, so do not hesitate any longer. Do not let tomorrow be your excuse. Do not let fear be your wall. Remember, delay is never harmless. It is the most silent thief of destiny. It arrives without a sound, but leaves a deep emptiness in the soul. And I do not want you to live with that emptiness. I want you to live with fullness, with the joy that comes from walking in my eternal will. My child, the season is shifting. Let your heart shift with it, for if you do not change, the season will pass, and you will find yourself standing on the edge of something that was meant to be yours. Do not let that happen. Do not allow a divine dream to become an unfinished memory. Arise, take the next step, and trust, because I am waiting for you on the other side of obedience. And when you arrive, you will know it was all worth it. Beloved, can you feel it? Something in the atmosphere has changed. A nameless longing has begun to rise from the depths of your soul. You may not be able to define it, but you know it is real. The rhythm of your heartbeat is no longer the same. Even the prayers you utter have changed. They are no longer simple words, but groanings of a heart awakened by something more sacred, more expansive, more urgent. It is not anxiety of the mind, but the sound of heaven's bell echoing within your spirit. And I confirm this to you. It is not your imagination. It is my spirit stirring your heart, calling you out of spiritual slumber, urging you to rise, for the appointed time has come. Yes, the time has come. Not a time for reasoning or continued excuses, or waiting for a clearer sign. Every sign you need is already unmistakably present. Can you not see? The earth groans, not because of climate or disaster, but because of the spiritual disorder blanketing the nations. Morality has been turned upside down. What once was truth is now distorted. The voice of truth grows rare amidst a sea of people screaming nonsense. Love has grown cold. People live as though they no longer have a soul. I ask you, is there anything in this that brings you peace? Or is it precisely in this chaos that your heart has been awakened by a silent yet fierce invitation? I have not stirred this urgency within you for no reason. I have not awakened your soul just so you can sit there with a heavy burden and no direction. I stirred your spirit because you are part of the solution for this generation. You are not an outsider. You were not chosen to stand on the sidelines and watch others move. You were created for such a time as this, breathed into existence by me, not merely to survive, but to rise in divine authority and step into the position ordained for you before the foundations of the world. My child, those who belong to me are being gathered. A remnant is forming in the spirit realm, not with noise, not with spectacle, but with power. They do not walk by fame or human recognition, but by divine affirmation. They do not speak much, but every word carries the weight of the anointing and of truth. These are the ones who have walked through deserts, who have been refined in fire, who have learned to be silent in order to hear my voice. And you, my dear one, you are one of them. I have not called you by chance. I have not placed this urgency in your heart only to abandon it. I speak because I know the hour. I summon you because I have seen in you what even you have yet to fully recognize. Do you know this? The years behind you were not in vain. Every moment of loneliness you wrestled with, every season you felt overlooked, every time you could not understand why others were being advanced while you were held back. These were all pieces in my divine plan. You were held back to be refined, to learn what others had not learned, to see what others could not see. And now, in a time when the world spins in confusion, when mankind flounders without direction, it is you whom I am awakening to rise and become a voice from an unshakable kingdom. Do not take lightly what you are feeling. Do not dismiss that inner stirring as if it were just a fleeting emotion. You are living in a sacred hour, a moment that comes only once in a lifetime. Divine doors are being opened, and you are being invited to walk through them. But to cross over means to leave the old behind. You cannot bring with you the doubts, the worn-out fears, or a mind cluttered with human calculations. You must carry a heart that is simple, filled with faith, and marked by unconditional obedience. I am not asking you to be perfect. I am asking you to be willing. I am not expecting you to have all the answers. I only need you to say, "Here I am." Remember how many times you pleaded with me to use you, how often you longed to see my power move through your life. Now is the moment that those prayers are being answered. But I am not responding with a dazzling miracle. I am responding with a clear and firm call. Rise up. Let your faith become action, not just intention. Let your love be proven through commitment. Let your soul step into what I have long prepared. Something far greater than what you've ever imagined, yet entirely true to the essence I placed within you from the very beginning. You will not go alone. I never call without accompanying. If I call, it is I who go before you. It is I who will strengthen you. It is I who will accomplish what is impossible. But you must begin. You must lay aside every what if, every maybe, every tomorrow. For tomorrow is not guaranteed, but today, this very moment, is a moment of decision. Will you dare to step in? Will you dare to believe that I still perform miracles? Will you dare to believe that you are not just one among the crowd, but a living stone in the spiritual wall I am building? When the writing is on the wall, my liberty, a request for you, my child, listen carefully. What you feel in your spirit is not pressure, it is an invitation. It is not a burden, it is an honor. It is not oppression, it is a privilege. For few are awakened the way you are being awakened. Few are called into such depths as you are being called. So do not draw back. Do not be afraid. Step forward, even if it's with trembling. But step. Trust that the trembling will turn into strength when you place your hand in mine. Listen closely, my beloved, because what I am about to say is not only for you, but is a message that touches the very generation in which you live, a generation whose destiny is being decided in this very moment. There are eras marked by revival and glory, and there are seasons shrouded in darkness, in apathy, and in turning away from truth. And what causes a generation to rise or fall is not the changing of external circumstances, but the personal choices made by souls like yours in decisive moments such as this. And you may think yourself too small to make a difference, that your actions cannot shift anything significant. But I speak to you with the full weight of eternity. Every choice you make, whether seen or unseen, echoes far beyond your life. You are not deciding just for yourself. You are etching upon the map of destiny for a whole stream of purpose. The yes that you offer is not merely temporary surrender. It is the mark of a soul aligning with heaven. And on the other hand, every time you turn away, every moment you hesitate, you are making room for a dark force, seeking to occupy the space you were called to defend. My child, do not take this season lightly. This is not an ordinary moment in history. It is a time marked on heaven's calendar, a season in which angels are moving, gates are opening, and prophecies are reaching their appointed fulfillment. Everything is converging into a moment that no one can evade. And in the midst of this divine motion, I speak clearly. This is the hour of decisiveness. It is no longer the time to weigh my will against personal comfort. It is no longer the time to live by excuses. You must choose, and choose in a way that leaves no room to turn back. My grace is still extended to you. My arm is still outstretched. My love remains unchanging. But do not mistake that grace as a license to delay. Grace is not given so that you may slumber in comfort. Grace is sent to awaken, to empower, to propel you beyond the shoreline of safety and into the deep waters where miracles happen. Grace is not a reason to remain passive. It is divine fuel to move forward. It is the heavenly provision that enables you to do what you could never accomplish in your own strength. You cannot keep telling yourself that someday will come, for that day is today. Every delay is a forfeiture of time that has been divinely set apart for breakthrough. Do you not perceive it? Each day carries a whisper, move quickly. Not because I am impatient, but because time is accelerating. What has long been hidden is now being unveiled. Invisible forces are rising at an unprecedented pace, and if you do not awaken, no one else can fulfill the specific assignment I have placed upon your life. You are the one who bears the scars. You are the one who holds the untold story. You are the one who has suffered deeply and survived. And this is no accident. You have been preserved, not merely to exist, but to become the voice that rises in a time when the world is desperate for truth amid the chaos. The wounds you once carried are now living evidence of the healing you are called to release to others. The times you've fallen do not disqualify you. They qualify you to be authentic, to be humble, and to carry power if you will let me use them. This is not the time to ask, am I strong enough? It is the time to declare, though I am weak, you are my strength. This is not the hour to wait until everything aligns perfectly. This is the hour to take the first step and see me clear the path. It is in that very first step that you will discover something you've never known, that I am still with you, still going before you, still surrounding you. And every step you take will not only transform you, but will unlock something in the land into which you are stepping. You must see this clearly. The prayers of your ancestors, the tears of those who came before, the visions recorded in long seasons of waiting, all are converging into this moment in time. You are not walking merely for yourself. You are moving within a sacred network of dreams and promises that I have interwoven through generations. And now, I have chosen you to carry out the next part. But you must be resolute. You must be bold. You must refuse all distractions. You cannot walk in my plans if you keep glancing backward. You cannot embrace a new destiny while clinging to what is old. The dreams that have died, the people who are no longer meant to journey with you, the failures that once seemed final, leave them behind. For what I am bringing you into cannot be carried by a mind torn between what was and what is. My child, I have waited for you far longer than you can imagine. In the silence, I have watched every strand of your thoughts, listened to each tearful prayer laced with hesitation, and patiently lingered even as you turned away again and again from my call. I have endured your doubts, the deep fears you wouldn't admit, and even the calculations of your mind. Calculations that made you delay simply because you wanted to understand the whole plan before daring to follow. But now, my beloved, I am no longer speaking with the gentle tone of an invitation. I am speaking with the absolute authority of the Eternal One, the self-existent, everlasting God, the one who laid the foundations of the earth and breathed life into your being. Rise. Do not delay another moment. This is no longer a suggestion. This is a summons from the realm of heaven. Step out of the shadows of indecision and into the position that has been divinely appointed for you, not because you appear ready in the eyes of the world, but because I have prepared your heart. Through storms, through wounds, through every time you knelt in the midnight hour when no one else saw, you have believed that obedience only has meaning when you understand everything. But true faith is not born from comprehension. It comes from trusting me enough to act, even when all you see is obscurity. I am not forcing you to choose. I do not coerce with fear. For free will is one of the most sacred gifts I have placed within you. But with that freedom, I have also established unchanging principles. And one of those principles is this: if you do not obey, you will reap the outcome of disobedience. Not because I am punishing you, but because turning away from my path opens doors to consequences that cannot be avoided. This too is a form of love, a love that does not coddle, but instructs and disciplines, so that you may learn the true value of faith, of choice, and of steadfastness. You have cried out for me to rescue you from the consequences of standing still too long, from the places where you turned back when you should have pressed forward. You've begged me to deliver you from situations your own hesitation created. But my child, I did not come to soothe you into staying stagnant. I did not come to help you run from what you must confront. I came to shape you, to refine your heart as gold in the fire, to make you a powerful instrument in my hand, not a soul ruled by feelings and weakness. I have come to equip you, not just with promises, but with the reality of transformation. I have come to teach you how to carry the weapons of the Spirit and to stand firm, even when the storm does not cease. I did not call you to comfort, I called you to strength. You may be weeping over the doors that have closed, but I ask you this: are you willing to learn what those doors were meant to teach you? You may feel disheartened because you don't see change, but I ask you again, are you changing within, even if your surroundings have not shifted? If that is your duty, my child, training is not pleasant, but it is necessary. And I have not called you to walk through this process alone. I am the one who trains you, who walks beside you, who strengthens you, and who will complete the good work I began in you. But for this to become reality, you must surrender, not with your lips, but with real action. Your surrender must be shown through rising up, shaking off fear, and walking forward. Even if you don't feel strong, or in your weakness, my power will be made perfect. Do not ask me to change the outcome while you remain trapped in the cycle of resisting obedience. Do not expect a different harvest if you are still sowing seeds of hesitation and doubt. Let me cut away from you all that draws you off my path. Let me chisel the parts of your character that are yet to be sanctified. Let me uproot the fears that have grown deep through the years, not to harm you, but to give you true life, not to make you lose, but to restore to you what has been stolen. For in truth, I know you still long for me. I see in your heart a desire to walk in the fullness of my design, but you cannot carry both me and fear in the same load. One must be dropped, and I am waiting for you to release fear, so that your hands may be empty enough to take hold of what I have prepared. I do not require your perfection. I ask for your willingness. I do not need you to accomplish something great today. I simply long for you to begin with a sincere and wholehearted yes. The waiting has reached its limit, not because I have grown impatient, but because the season has shifted. If you continue to hesitate, you will see this door close, not because I have shut it, but because your delay will cause the appointed moment to pass. And once the season is gone, what was prepared for it will no longer be suitable. You will have to walk through another cycle, not because I reject you, but because I love you too much to allow you to enter into glory, while your soul is still unready to carry it. My child, I have seen deep within your heart a silent sigh, a quiet, persistent yearning, that you want to live differently, that you long to step into a new reality, to escape the endless loop of fear and worn-out paths that lead nowhere. Time and again, you have knelt in tears, whispering prayers for me to change your circumstances, to make a way, to break chains, to awaken something within you that has long slumbered, and I have listened. I have heard not only the words you spoke, but the unspoken cries of your spirit. I have answered you, not with thunder or lightning, but with a gentle yet compelling voice, a call to step out of the old and into transformation. But child, there is one thing I want you to confront. I cannot fulfill my work in you if you are still resisting the very path I have chosen to raise you up. You say you want to be transformed, but you refuse to let go. You ask me for clear vision, but when my light shines upon what must be surrendered, you turn your face away. You seek freedom, yet cling to old chains as though they were safe. You long for great things, but reject the small steps of obedience required today. Change, beloved one, does not happen in dreams. It happens in decision. It does not come through wishful thinking, but through courageous acts that begin with surrender. And surrender is not weakness, as the world imagines. It is true strength, the strength of one who dares to lay down their own will in order to embrace the eternal will of the Creator. You cannot go deeper with me if you still clutch what I have told you to release. Every time you hold on to comfort, you drift from your calling. Every time you choose to stay where you are, you resist the lifting. I cannot fill a vessel that remains sealed shut. You have cried out many nights, pleading for my guidance. You have wept, begging for a path to open. And I have moved. I have stirred the heavens and opened doors no man can close. I have sent you opportunities, people, confirmations. But what about you? You stood still at the threshold, unmoving, unresponsive. Not because I did not answer, but because you refused to step into the answer I already gave. Why is that, my child? Because you have craved safety more than sending. Your heart has grown so accustomed to the rhythm of the old life that you fear the freshness of heaven. You have preferred comfort over my divine interruption. But beloved, the higher the calling, the narrower the road. Everyone desires to touch glory, but how many are willing to walk through the valley of shadows? Everyone wants to stand upon the mountaintop, but how many will take the narrow, rocky path that leads upward? You say you want to live a life of purpose, but you must know, purpose never comes without cost. You will never taste the depths of eternal intention if you keep hiding within the shell of safety. No one can carry the fire of heaven and fear being refined by its flames. No one can change a generation if they are not first willing to let me change them. You complain that you cannot see the future clearly, but I ask you this: are you obeying what I have already spoken over your present? More does not begin with having everything in your hands. It begins with faithfulness in the smallest of things. The great things you've been praying for are waiting just beyond the door of obedience, but you have yet to open it. I cannot lead someone who only wants to hear what pleases them, but refuses to act upon what I say. I see the contradiction within you. A soul that longs to move forward yet trembles at the thought of letting go. You want to reach for true life, yet you fear releasing what once gave you comfort. You desire to touch heaven, yet hesitate to leave the lowlands behind. But my child, there is no compromise in the calling. It is either all or nothing. I do not share my glory with anything else. I want your heart in its entirety, undivided, unconditional, and unreserved. You must choose, not out of fleeting emotions, but with a clear decision in your spirit. Be decisive. Be bold. Reject the fearful whispers in your mind. Those voices telling you that you're not enough, that you'll fail, that you'll be abandoned if you take that step. Those voices are not from me. They are from the one who wants to keep you stuck in a place where your destiny will never unfold. The enemy does not fear your past. He fears your future, if you dare to walk into it. And I tell you this with both holy urgency and deep love. The time has come. There is no more room to keep wrestling in your heart, no more time to bargain with heaven's will. You must move. You must rise. You must leave the place that once felt like your anchor to come to the place where I am waiting. This is your doom, and I am waiting, because on the other side of obedience is the breakthrough you have pleaded for. On the other side of your yes is the freedom your soul has longed to taste. On the other side of fear is the glory I have prepared for you. And when you choose to step forward, I promise you will not walk alone. I will not only go before you, but I will walk with you. I will not only show you the way, I will give you strength. I will not only speak, I will move on your behalf, for I am faithful not only in promise, but in every detail of your journey. So, my child, let obedience be your answer. Let courage be your step. Let trust be your vision. For if you do, heaven itself will move. What was once considered dead will rise again. What has been delayed will be restored. What you thought you had lost forever will return in a new form, stronger, deeper, and more glorious than ever before. Something inside of you is beginning to awaken, a quiet but fierce stirring deep within the layers of your soul. Do you hear it? Can you feel it? It is the life of my spirit, the one I placed within you before you ever understood the weight of eternal calling. He was not given to you to lie dormant in timidity, not to be buried beneath fear, nor to be suffocated by the burdens of the world. He was placed within you to ignite, to burn, to shake, and to be released everywhere your feet tread. You were not created to live confined by the borders of logic. You were not chosen merely to survive. You were chosen to create, to pioneer, to live a life not marked by depletion, but by the abundance I have promised. And that abundance does not come from your own strength. It comes from my Spirit within you, who now waits to be awakened. This is the fire that once smoldered behind every prayer you whispered, every tear you shed while guarding the purity of your heart. Literally and literally, she will be marked. From the morning of the day dilatant to the end of the night. This is the fire that once smoldered behind every prayer you whispered, every tear you shed while guarding the purity of your heart. This is the fire I preserved in you through battles no one saw. And now, my child, this is the hour for that fire to rise. Do you still remember the visions I once planted within you? The images that passed through your mind were not random. They were not fleeting dreams conjured up in restless nights. They were designs, divine blueprints that I inscribed upon the corners of your soul. I do not plant anything to be forgotten. I do not deposit vision into your heart for it to be buried beneath the weight of doubt. Every picture I painted within your spirit carries purpose. The dreams you once dismissed as far-fetched were, in truth, my invitations. Calls for you to step into a reality that I myself have prepared. I know exactly what you need, and I prepare. But my child, no matter how perfect a blueprint may be, it remains just a concept, unless someone is willing to build, and I have chosen you to be that builder. I have revealed my intentions, but I will not lay every stone for you. I will guide you, I will strengthen you, but it is your hands that must move. It is your courage that must begin the work. It is your faith that must dare to place the first brick. While everything around you may still seem chaotic, unclear, or incomplete, for that is the way of faith. Faith does not wait to see everything before acting. Faith moves even when nothing is visible, but it knows I am there. Faith that does not take action is not living faith. It is merely an idea that has yet to mature. True faith wears the form of movement. True faith begins with stepping out, even when no one else believes with you. My child, I know that beginning is always the hardest part. I know how many times you've stood at the threshold only to turn back. But this time, I want you to cross it. Do not wait for perfection. Do not wait until every piece fits into place. For much of what I have prepared will only be revealed once you begin. Some doors will not open unless you walk toward them. Some wonders will not unfold unless you dare to take the first step. I did not call you to stand by and watch others build. I did not call you to be endlessly caught in plans never carried out. I have called you to act, to build, to participate in the eternal work I am establishing on this earth. And your part cannot be replaced. No one can do it quite like you are designed to do. No one carries the same frequency of spirit as you do. No one carries the same frequency of spirit as you do. No one else has been entrusted with the specific visions I have engraved upon your heart. Recall what I whispered to you in the secret place. Remember those sacred moments when your soul brushed against eternity, when you knew with unshakable clarity that your life was not meant to be wasted. In those moments you saw more clearly than ever that you belonged to something far greater than yourself. And now, as the world trembles and old systems fracture, it is time for you to rise, not for display, not for praise, but to fulfill what I appointed for you before the foundations of the world. Now is not the time to compromise with spiritual laziness, not the time to say, just a little longer. Every moment you delay is a portion of your destiny left dormant. You may think your hesitation only affects you, but no, my child. When you do not act, the whole universe waits for a link that has not yet moved. And I, the one who gave you time, strength, wisdom, and even trials to refine you, I am still waiting, not with impatience, but with holy longing, like a father who sees his child has grown, yet still clings to the safety of the nest. I have already placed within you everything needed to begin. You lack nothing except courage. And my beloved, even that I am willing to give, if only you would ask. But I cannot empower a body that refuses to stand. I will not pour fire upon an altar that has not been prepared. You must do your part. And I promise, if you would only start, I will add to it abundantly. If you would lay the first stone, I will make it firm. If you would take the step, I will carve a path through the sea. For I did not call you so that you would miss your appointment with glory. I called you to become the place where I reveal myself, not so that you would be seen as great in the eyes of men, but so that my name would be exalted through your very life. That is why you are still here. That is why you have not been defeated, even in the moments when you felt you could not go on, because something greater still waits to be birthed through your hands, your heart, and your faith. So, my child, cleanse your heart as one would prepare the foundation for a new temple. Gather what remains of your faith, and do not underestimate that first step. For from that place, I will build what no one believed could be built. From that moment, I will release my spirit in you with power, and when you look back, you will know that everything I have spoken is true, that the vision was never given to be forgotten, but to be fulfilled by those who dare to believe and dare to begin. My beloved, deep within your soul, you have always known, not with your intellect, but with the sacred intuition I planted within you from the beginning. Something is calling, like a bell ringing through the darkness, reminding you that there is still something left undone. You have heard it before, but you pushed it aside, hoping that by ignoring it, it would disappear. You told yourself, it's not time yet, or there will be a better moment, or I just need more clarity. You've carefully buried that call beneath layers of busyness, urgent responsibilities, and unnamed fears. But I have not forgotten, and the call has never gone silent. It still burns like a quiet fire within you, flaring up now and then in the silence of the night when all other noises have ceased. It reminds you, you were not made to live a life of mediocrity. You were not created to merely drift through fleeting days. You have a role to play, and that role is still waiting for you. Dowry now. You can no longer deny it. Your delay is no longer harmless. You're beginning to feel it in the heaviness that surrounds you, as if even the air is thick with weight. The tension creeps into your sleep, and a subtle unease makes its way into your quiet moments. You've told yourself it's because of circumstances, because the world is unstable, because you are tired. But I say to you, this is not pressure from the outside. It is the inner collision between my holy calling and your inward hesitation. You are no longer at the stage of simple choices. You are standing at a crossroads of destiny, where your decision no longer affects you alone, but also touches those who will be rescued, encouraged, and led through your words, your actions, and your very life. Every time you hesitate, an opportunity is delayed. Every time you excuse yourself, a door remains unopened. And my child, I do not speak this to condemn, but to awaken, because the time left for delay is no longer long. You believed that you could safely postpone, but in the spiritual realm, there is no neutral ground. You are either moving toward me or being drawn away. You are either stepping into the purpose I designed, or you are being buried beneath temporary things with no eternal weight. And this heaviness, the feeling you cannot quite name that now clings to you, is the consequence of the tension between what your soul knows to be right and what your flesh still refuses to do. You once said you were ready. You once pleaded for my guidance, begged for a mission, wept in the night, and whispered, I want to live for something greater than myself. But when the door opened, you stood still. Not because you didn't hear me, but because you were not willing to pay the cost. You feared loss. You dreaded pain. You were afraid of being misunderstood, rejected, or left behind. And it was those very fears that chained your feet, holding you in a place you should have left long ago. I do not condemn you, my child. I understand your tender heart. I know this journey is not easy, but I also know what I have placed within you, and I know you were created to overcome. You are not as weak as you think. You are not as lacking as you've believed. Inside you is a strength that comes from heaven. All it needs is to be stirred. Within you is a grace that has already been given. You only need to walk in it. But here is the truth. No one else can fulfill your part. No one else has been entrusted with what I have written uniquely for your life. And if you keep delaying, you will not only lose time, you will lose the very opportunity to become what I designed from the beginning. So pause for a moment, my beloved, and reflect. What has held you back? What made you choose the familiar over the breakthrough? Are you living to please others? Are you waiting for some form of certainty before you step out? But hear this. The greatest assurance you can ever have is me, the one who never changes. If I have called you, would I not also lead you? If I have sown vision into your heart, would I not help you bring it to completion? This is a defining moment, a moment that will not return a second time. If you hesitate any longer, you will find yourself out of step, missing the vehicle of destiny. I do not say this to frighten you, but to awaken a soul that is falling asleep under the illusion of their still time. There is no more time, my child. If you do not rise now, today's delay will become tomorrow's regret. If you do not act, you will look back with sorrow, knowing you let the greatest moment of your life slip away because you lacked the courage to begin. Search your heart and ask yourself, what do you truly long for? If you want to see change, you must be the first to change. If you hope for a different world, you must step out of your comfort zone. If you yearn for something eternal and profound, you cannot keep living by shallow reasons. Let that calling rise again within you, not merely as an invitation, but as a divine awakening. For this is no longer the time to dream, it is the time to act. I am right here, not one step away. I do not ask for your perfection, I only ask for your sincerity. I do not need you to do everything in a single day, just take the first step. I do not need you to be as fierce as a lion, only to whisper, "Here I am, Lord." From that place, I will take over. From that place, I will strengthen, open doors, heal, and lead. But you must step forward. Not tomorrow, not when it's more convenient. Now, because your soul knows, and I know, the time has come. No excuse is strong enough to hold you back. No argument can silence the call from heaven. You were made for this moment, and if you bravely enter it, everything will change, not just for you, but for those who are waiting to be touched by your life. So don't just know. Act. Move. Respond. Live as if this were the most crucial moment of your life, because truly it is. My precious one, I know your heart is carrying things too deep for words. There is an invisible pressure weighing upon your mind, making every breath heavy, every decision feel like an inner struggle. You cannot name it, yet it shows up in restless sleep, in quiet moments when you feel a strange urgency pressing on your soul from a higher realm. You wonder if it's anxiety, fatigue, or some vague unease. No, my child, it is not random. It is the voice of heaven pounding on the door of your heart, reminding you that time is short. It is the bell of eternity ringing, awakening your soul from a delay that has lasted far too long. The hourglass I have placed before you is slipping, grain by grain, and now you are stepping into the final moments of an appointed season. This is not a season of doing as you please, but a sacred window of grace, uniquely released so that you may rise and fulfill what I have called you to do. You once believed that time would always wait for you, that opportunities would remain until you were ready. But my child, the truth is this: every season has its beginning and its end. The doors I open in one moment are not guaranteed to remain open in the next. If you do not enter when the call goes forth, you may lose what I prepared specifically for that time. The pressure you are feeling is not a cruel accident, but my mercy sounding the alarm. I do not author chaos, but I will not cease to call. And when you do not respond to the gentle voice of the Spirit, my call will grow more urgent, more piercing, and sometimes will awaken you through shaking. Not because I am angry, not because I have abandoned you, but because I love you too deeply to let you remain asleep in the false security the world has built around you. Do you see it now? Many of the urgent situations you face today are not because I failed to intervene, but because you delayed. I sent you warnings. I stirred your spirit with promptings. I spoke through my word, through your circumstances, through unexpected voices. But you brushed them aside. You sat on the sidelines, watching without moving. You listened but did not respond. You said you believed, yet your heart refused to step forward, and that is what left you outside the plan I am unfolding. Many among my people have lived as though they have a lifetime to choose. They say they love me, but live as though I am an afterthought behind the comforts of this world. They hope the storms will pass over their lives while they continue to build their houses upon sand, upon compromise, upon half-heartedness, upon decisions that lack deep roots in obedience. They want my protection, but resist my calling. They long for peace, but fear leaving their safety zones. And then, when the winds rise, they cry out for rescue. unaware that their foundation had long been weakened, not by circumstances, but by prolonged disobedience. And my child, I do not say this to discourage you, but to awaken you back to the truth. Because you are not like the others. You were chosen to stand in the current, to carry my word, to be part of the work I am doing in this generation. But you must choose. You must step forward. You must decide that you will delay no longer. For I cannot build upon a foundation still wavering between two options. The grace I have given you is not a permission slip for postponement. It is not a license to keep circling around. My call, grace, is the supernatural power I pour out so that you may accomplish what you could never do on your own. It is the divine strength not meant to keep you comfortable in rebellion, but to thrust you out of the shadows of hesitation and into the light of obedience. Grace is never an excuse to remain seated. It is always an invitation to rise. I know you're tired. I know there are wounds so deep that they've made you doubt whether starting again is even possible. I know you've walked through failure, rejection, and harsh criticism, even from those you once trusted. But it is precisely those things that make you ready to be used. Not because you are flawless, but because you have been refined. Not because you are strong, but because you have learned to lean on me. And now, the only thing still missing is not ability, not understanding. It is your response. And my child, I do not need you to understand everything. I only need your yes. I only need one simple response. Yes, Lord, here I am. From that moment on, I will teach you, guide you, and provide for you step by step. But I cannot steer a boat that refuses to leave the shore. You must raise the sail, even if fear still lingers in your heart. You must be willing, even if no one else is there to encourage you. You must be willing, even if no one else is there to encourage you. You must take that step, even if you do not yet see where it will lead. And when you move, everything else will begin to move with you. I will cause all things to work together for your good, because time is no longer in abundance, and the call will not echo forever in the same melody. If you do not respond, you may find yourself left behind, not because I have turned you away, but because you chose not to speak up. Do not let that happen. Do not allow a season of promise to turn into a season of regret. Do not let what I have prepared for you become unfinished simply because you lacked a little courage to say, I'm ready. My child, let this pressure become your motivation. Let this urgent bell become a reminder that the time is now, not later. Let your heart break before me, so that I may fill it again with what is real, with life, with unshakable truth. For if you respond, I promise you this: what I will do through your life will surpass anything you've ever dreamed of. And when you look back, you will have no regrets. You will not ask, what if? You will smile, knowing you didn't miss your moment. You will know you lived in the fullness of your appointed time. You will know you did not turn back. And above all, you will know that I, the one who called you, was with you every step of the way. So rise and go. This is your moment. This is the hour for you to step into your destiny. Now I come again, not with sword or spear, but with open arms, once more inviting you to return to what has long been prepared for your life. I do not come to force you, I do not manipulate, nor do I override your will. From the beginning, I created you with the gift of choice, a divine privilege even angels do not possess. Because true love never demands control, it always leaves space for freedom. I do not want your obedience because you fear punishment. I desire your obedience because you have come to know my heart. Love cannot bloom where there is coercion. It only grows where there is willingness, where gratitude and deep understanding dwell, knowing you are being invited into something far better than anything you have ever imagined. And I did not call you just once. I have persistently called you. Through seasons, through circumstances, through every fall and every rising again. Sometimes that invitation came like a warm light in the middle of a long night. Other times it appeared in an unexpected word, a well-timed embrace, or a silent tear falling in the stillness. I have never ceased to seek your heart, not because I need you to fulfill my plan, but because my plan finds its true fulfillment when you take your rightful place, a place that no one else can fill. But my child, like every invitation, there is a time limit. The moment will come when what once felt like a gentle encouragement becomes a weighty call to awaken. The moment will come when the tender voice becomes a responsibility your soul cannot ignore. For if I continue calling and you continue to delay, that hesitation itself will turn into disobedience. And disobedience, when left unaddressed, does not stop at delay. It unleashes consequences that no one will be able to hold back. You think that delay is merely waiting for the right time. But in the spiritual realm, prolonged delay is disorientation. It is when you know what must be done, and yet you choose silence. It is when you see the light, but turn your face away. It is when you know you are being called, yet continue to live as though you were unaware. And each time you do this, you pull yourself further away from my rhythm, the sacred harmony into which you were born to live. No, this is not judgment as the world often imagines. This is about alignment. It is about whether you are walking in step with me. For only when you walk according to the call can you truly live, not merely to survive, but to live with a burning heart, an awakened soul, and a clear purpose. But if you refuse, if you keep moving out of sync, if you continue to follow voices that do not come from me, you will feel empty, weary, and lost. Not because I am punishing you, but because you have separated yourself from the current of life I specifically designed for you. I do not warn you to make you tremble in fear. I speak these things because I love you far too much to remain silent. I see what you cannot. I know what is coming, what waits just beyond the threshold. And I know this: if you do not step in at the appointed time, you will miss precious opportunities that do not come around twice. These are not merely doors of influence, ministry, or blessing. They are sacred moments for your soul to grow, for you to become the version of yourself I dreamed into existence before time began. Do you remember those moments when your heart stirred for no clear reason? When something within you urged change, called you to rise, to live differently? That was not impulsive emotion. It was the bell of responsibility sounding within you. It was my spirit awakening the deepest parts of you, reminding you that the time has come. That was the moment when your soul stood at a crossroads, To move toward the light of obedience, or to remain spinning in old choices, old comfort zones, old patterns that no longer served the calling. My child, every day you refuse to move is a day you drift farther from the harmony I long to establish between your soul and my divine will. And every step away from the original intent creates unnecessary detours, leading you into places I never wanted you to go. I do not say this to burden you, but like a father who sees his child taking the wrong path, I cannot remain silent. I cannot look away when I know that ahead of you lies the emptiness of things where I do not dwell. You were not born to live by instinct alone. I have given you my Spirit, the one who teaches, reminds, warns, and leads, and he, even now, is awakening the sacred part of you that has long been silenced by the noise of the world. Do not wait for another great sign. The sign is already here, within the pressure you feel now, within the stirring in your heart, within the moments when you clearly know what to do but have not yet done it. That is the evidence. You are standing at the intersection of divine invitation and personal responsibility. And I am reaching out, once again, not to force, but to lift you up. Not to control, but to empower. Not to judge, but to bring you back to life. I do not need your perfection. I need your willingness. I am not asking you to run a mile today, but I long for you to take the first step with a clear commitment that says, I will delay no longer. From there, I will supply the strength. I will do the rest. My child, what I long to do in your life cannot begin if you continue to delay, and what I desire to accomplish through you will not come to completion if you remain paralyzed at the crossroads of indecision. This is the moment for you to come into alignment with the divine will. This is not merely an invitation whispered gently to your heart. It is a calling that must be answered with clarity and resolve. Rise. Move forward. Choose harmony with heaven. And I promise you, what you will witness on the other side of obedience will far surpass anything you've ever prayed for or imagined. My beloved, how I wish you could see everything from my perspective, a view unclouded by fear, unrestricted by time, and untainted by the wounds of the past. From that vantage point, you would understand that my will has never been, and will never be, a prison for your soul. On the contrary, it is a shelter of safety, stretched wide over you, out of pure love. Not to confine you, but to preserve you, not to take away your freedom, but to protect it from being stolen by forces you have yet to comprehend. My purpose is the space where you are shielded from the assaults of darkness. But when you choose to walk away from that covering, not because you were cast out, but because you stepped away, it is then that your soul is exposed to the storm of a world steeped in chaos, and that departure is not my punishment. It is the natural consequence of removing yourself from the rhythm of life. You've believed that obedience is a burden. You've feared boundaries, imagining that I placed upon you unbearable demands. But, my child, the words I speak are not chains. They are walls of protection. They are ramparts surrounding your heart against the traps set in wait. They are borders drawn to keep you from falling into the abyss as you walk through shadows. These limits were never meant to restrict, but to guide, not to confine your steps, but to lead them in the right direction. I establish my commands not to control you, but that you might truly live. Just as a river does not lose its freedom by flowing within its banks, instead it is the riverbed that keeps the waters from spilling into stagnation, so too my commandments are not meant to bind you. They are the pattern of life itself. Each instruction, each whisper carrying a sacred rhythm woven precisely to lead you to peace, to fullness, and to the very purpose your soul has longed for. But this wonder only unfolds when you walk in obedience, when you choose to believe, even when you cannot see, when you surrender, even though your emotions tremble, when you take that first step not because everything is ready, but because you know the one who calls is faithful. Protection does not come from knowing every answer. It comes from remaining in the place I've assigned for you. And that place is always under the shadow of my wings, where you choose to remain in obedience, in sensitivity, in holy reverence. And that place, Marinko, is mine. Clone yourself, yo dark ka. But my child, when you turn away from my counsel, when you deliberately ignore the gentle warnings I send, you begin to open doors I have worked to keep shut for your protection. You do not see that with every step away from my guidance, you are inching into a realm where darkness has access. Not because I withdrew, but because you stepped out of the safety of the light. Disobedience is not merely an action, it is an invitation, a summons to things that were never destined to enter your life. You ask why you feel unsettled, even when everything around you seems fine. You wonder why peace still eludes your heart, even though you've done everything that appears right in the eyes of others. Look again. Are you truly living in alignment with what I have spoken? Are your steps moving in the light of obedience? Because peace does not come from circumstances. It is the result of walking in truth, of living under guidance, of moving in the rhythm I set from the beginning. Every truth I give carries within it the living pulse of heaven. They are not rigid rules. They are the resonance of life. They are a call, drawing you back into the wholeness for which you were created. I do not demand perfection, but I long for your agreement. I do not expect you never to fall, but I hope you will not push away my hand each time I reach to lift you up. You cannot live fully if you keep walking with one foot in the light and the other in the shadows. Your soul will always grow weary if it keeps wavering between trusting me and relying on yourself. You will continue to feel that inner emptiness if you live by emotion instead of by faith. And it is that inconsistency that is quietly draining your spiritual strength, keeping you from stepping into the fullness I've prepared for you. My child, return, not just with promises, but with tangible acts. Come back to the place where obedience was once your greatest treasure. Remember the beginning, when you trembled, but still said, I will follow you. When you couldn't see the future, yet you dared to believe I am faithful. Do not let the passing years and your wounds harden your heart. Do not allow disappointments and delays to dim the childlike trust that once defined our relationship. I am still here, arms wide open, not condemning, not forcing, but I will not remain silent forever. Because I love you, I must speak the truth. Because I cherish you, I must remind you. You were never called to live a life of survival, but to become a vessel of life. And that can only happen when you walk fully on the path I have laid before you. Do not wait for feelings to move you. Do not delay obedience until inspiration strikes. For truth never changes, and life only flows when you choose to live in harmony with it. What I say to you today is not a burden. It is a key, not a restriction, but a path. Not a chain, but true freedom. Choose to return to my design. Place your steps in the rhythm of heaven. And as you do, you will not only be protected, you will be led into places you never imagined you could go. I see everything you're hiding behind strained smiles and anxious prayers. I see each tiny fracture in your soul. Those places you thought were already healed, now beginning to crack again beneath the silent weight of hesitation. I see more clearly than you the fault lines within, where fatigue is eroding your faith, where fear quietly overshadows boldness. The things that once felt firm are now trembling, not because the world has grown stronger, but because you have gradually weakened through small compromises. Bit by bit, day by day, excuse by excuse. End of Part 1. I see the pressure that weighs upon your shoulders, not just from the outside, but from deep within. Circumstances have begun to spiral beyond your grasp, not because I have withdrawn my hand, but because you have stepped outside the covering. Confusion is closing in on your mind, turning clarity into haze, and turning once vivid faith into a distant echo. You feel lost, not because the light has gone out, but because you chose to stop walking when I was still inviting you forward. You have asked me for peace. In the stillness of the night you whispered, "Lord, let my heart be at rest." But my child, peace cannot be poured into a vessel that is leaking. You long for tranquility, yet you continue to hold on to the very things I asked you to release. You say you desire my guidance, but you remain planted in the land I have long called you to leave behind. You wonder why the answers have not come. Yet you resist stepping into the very path where those answers have already been prepared. Peace is not merely a fleeting feeling of calm in the moment. It is the reward given to those who walk in obedience. Peace does not visit the one who clings to the comfort of safety, but it meets the one who dares to step into the unknown, trusting that I am the one who knows it all. You cannot seek rest while gripping tightly to control. Peace does not cohabitate with anxiety, nor does it flourish in places of intentional delay. It is born in the soil of surrender. When you choose to trust me beyond your feelings, when you walk forward, even while your heart is trembling. And now, my child, you are standing at the edge of a crisis that was not formed by external forces, but by the delayed choices of your own heart. Not because I failed to warn you, not because I was silent, but because you have heard without acting, have known without moving, have felt without responding. It was not the enemy who brought you to the edge. It was your own decision to postpone. You chose comfort over courage, hesitation over commitment, familiarity over the newness I was inviting you into. You are not surprised by the storm. You sensed it coming long ago. Your soul knew. You felt the stirring. You heard the call. But you pushed it aside, waiting for a more convenient time, a stronger emotion, a clearer confirmation. And while you waited, time slipped by, and your heart slowly cooled in the presence of what seemed harmless. The small delay of yesterday has now become the wide crack of today. I have not come to condemn you, my child. I have come to awaken you. because even now, I still desire for you to choose again. Not to begin everything from the beginning, but to return to the next step you once left behind. Sometimes, you don't need to change your whole life. You just need to resume what I already spoke long ago, yet you never dared to act on. It may seem insignificant in the eyes of others, but in the spiritual realm, it is the key that will unlock the great things waiting just ahead. You think risk is dangerous, but, my child, the true danger lies in never moving forward. The threat is not in the unfamiliar land, but in clinging to the old, where I no longer dwell. The greatest danger is not in stepping into what I have not spoken, but in remaining within what I already told you to leave behind. And deep down, you know this. You feel it in your soul. You see it in your restless sleep, your foggy thoughts, your unexplained emptiness, even when everything on the outside appears fine. But it is not too late if you respond today. There is still time if you are willing to move. There is still hope if you will stop making excuses. I am not asking you to be strong. I am asking you to be faithful. I do not demand that you run far. I simply call you to take one step. Step out of delay. Step beyond your comfort zone. Step away from excuses and fear. And when you take that step, I will give you strength. When you take the leap, I will go before you. When you show courage, I will surround you. You may have been delayed, but you have not been disqualified. You may have hesitated, but I have not withdrawn my calling. There is still a chance for you to walk with me, but it requires resolve, not a fleeting emotion, but a firm decision. You must face the truth. That delay is no longer harmless. That waiting is not always wise. That delayed obedience is still disobedience. And I love you far too much to let you keep living this way. My child, return to me the right to lead your path. Let go of your need to control everything. Surrender to me the unfulfilled dreams, the unanswered questions, and even the disappointments you haven't dared to speak aloud. Come back to the starting point, the place where you once longed to hear my voice, where you once whispered, "No matter what happens, I will still walk forward." For in that place, I am still waiting, not to reprimand, but to restore, not to condemn, but to rebuild. And if you do that today, this moment of urgency will not end in loss, but in breakthrough. The abyss before you will become the very ground upon which I establish something new. The barren land will bloom again. What seemed lost will be restored in a better, stronger form. For I am the one who can turn your delay into a redemptive story. If you would only say, "Yes, Lord, I hear you, and now I am ready to move." Do not be deceived by the feeling that delay is harmless. Do not console yourself with the thought that pausing means you haven't yet chosen. No, my child, delay is not neutral. It is not an innocent, consequence-free space. Delay is a silent current, steady and strong, quietly pulling you further from the shores of destiny, gradually wearing down every inch of the soul I've formed with sacred care. Each time you hear my call and choose not to respond, a thin veil forms over your spiritual ears. At first, it's no more than a faint mist, but over time it becomes a thick rust that makes it harder to hear. Your ears do not go deaf in a moment, but the prolonged indifference muffles my voice beneath the many sounds that fill your life. You begin to confuse my voice with the voice of fear, with human counsel, with the noise of logic and emotion. And then one day, you lift your eyes and realize you no longer recognize the voice of the one who once called you by name. It's not only your ears that grow dull, your heart too slowly hardens. Every time you ignore the prompting of the Holy Spirit, you extinguish a spark within yourself. The flame doesn't die immediately, but each breeze of hesitation, each wave of excuse, each day that passes in passive silence, all of it is quietly dimming the original passion inside you. Your heart was once as tender as rain-soaked soil, ready to receive divine seed, but now, unless you awaken, that ground will turn dry, compacted, and unable to embrace the new life I am still preparing to sow. My child, do not take lightly the urgency of this present hour. Every moment you tell yourself there's still time is a step that allows the enemy to creep deeper into the territory meant to bear fruit. Your enemy doesn't need you to openly deny me. It only needs you to delay. It doesn't require your rebellion, only your stillness, because it knows if you remain stagnant long enough, spiritual paralysis will set in, and then the land I marked for rooting, for blossoming, for growth and impact will become ground claimed by confusion, doubt, fear, and disorder. You may think you are standing still, neither moving forward nor backward, but the soul never stands still. Every second you are not pressing toward the light, you are being drawn back into the shadows. Not because I am pushing you away, but because you are drifting in waters that no longer flow with the current of my spirit. And the danger of drifting is this: it always feels smooth and gentle, until the moment you awaken and realize you are so far from the original shore, you can no longer see the way back. I did not create you to live in the middle ground, in the so-called season of weighing things out. I called you to live boldly, clearly, and with purpose. Hesitation is not a pause, it is a choice. Every time you choose not to move forward, you are deciding to reject the invitation of the Creator. Every time you cling to temporary safety, you are turning away from the saving power of the Redeemer. Every time you suppress the stirring in your soul, you are resisting the urgency that your Sovereign is whispering into the depths of your spirit. I do not speak these words to frighten you. I speak to you in love. Yet it is a love that understands clearly, if I do not awaken you now, you will go too far. And I love you too much to remain silent while I watch you slowly drift toward an edge you have mistaken for a resting place. I love you enough to tell you the truth, even if that truth unsettles you for a moment, because I know that momentary discomfort could rescue you from a lifelong regret. Remember the beginning, when your soul was sensitive, when even the gentlest whisper could bring you to your knees in repentance. Remember the season when you stayed up late just to seek my face, when you trembled with emotion every time I spoke something to your heart. Those moments are not gone forever. They can return. But for that to happen, you must choose again. You must sever yourself from hesitation. You must declare within your heart that delay will no longer have the right to rule over you. You don't have to wait until your feelings are ready. Let faith lead your emotions. Act according to what is true, not according to what you see or hear. For if you do not choose to walk now, if you do not choose to return while the invitation still stands, it will become increasingly difficult to hear my voice amidst the noise of life. And when that time comes, it won't be because I stopped speaking, but because your heart no longer has the ability to hear. I do not love you any less because of your delay, but it grieves me to see how that delay is stealing away the precious things I had prepared for you. It pains me to witness fruit that never fully formed being choked by roots you didn't notice were growing. It breaks my heart to see you carrying a great promise, yet living a small life, simply because you fear the risks of obedience. But it is not too late. I am still waiting. Heaven has not closed its gates. My heart remains wide open. All it takes is for you to say, I will delay no more. All it takes is for you to acknowledge that hesitation is not a safe haven. It is a road that detours you from your destiny. All it takes is for you to step out of the old land and return to the voice that once set your heart ablaze. And when you do, I will restore, I will heal, I will renew your sensitivity, I will rekindle the flame, and you will know I never left. You just lingered too long before turning around. My child, do not let delay become the legacy you leave behind. Let faith and obedience be the story you write with your life. Rise up, shake off compromise, shatter every excuse, for I am calling and heaven is waiting. And if you respond today, the very place you thought you had drifted too far from will become the starting point of your glorious return. My beloved, let me uncover a sacred truth you must face with all your heart. You are not living solely for yourself. Within you lies something precious, entrusted to you before you ever spoke your first word. Something that cannot be measured by logic, nor dismissed through indifference. Because this is not only your portion, it is the portion of many others. There are souls waiting for what you carry. There are doors that will only open when you bravely move forward. There are chains that will only break when you lift your voice. And with every day you delay, others remain in the darkness that should have been shattered by the light I placed within you. You cannot continue believing that this journey is only about personal growth, about your own emotions, or about your readiness alone. I have placed within your soul something greater than yourself. A ripple effect, a message that will touch generations, a liberating power that far exceeds the limits of your current vision. Everyone I call carries within them a portion of a greater design. You are not a quiet stream flowing in isolation. You are the spring meant to water an entire parched field. And my child, if you do not allow yourself to pour forth, the ground will remain cracked. Others will stay thirsty, and what I long to accomplish will be delayed. Not because I lack power, but because you have not yet stepped into your appointed part. You think that your delay only affects you, your joy, your progress, or your personal emotions. But in reality, it is creating a quiet ripple that is slowing down an entire spiritual current I have already prepared. There are those who are waiting to see the light in you, so that they may dare to step out of their own darkness. There are hearts searching for a word of encouragement, for a sign of life, for a divine confirmation I have intended to send through your voice, your actions, and your obedience. Each day you hesitate is another day that light remains hidden, and others continue to stumble in the long night, not because I am unwilling to shine on them, but because the one carrying the lamp has yet to ignite the flame. My child, the light within you is not random. I placed it there with a clear purpose, not so you would feel important, but so you would become a bearer of hope, not for your own glory, but so you would serve as a bridge between me and the souls crying out in silence. There are doors that will only open when you knock. There are territories that will only be released when you set your foot there, and every delay is not a neutral choice. It is a significant loss to a portion of the spiritual body you are called to uphold. You cannot begin to comprehend the weight of a simple decision, a small act of obedience that can shift someone else's entire world. A timely word, a courageous step, a sincere encouragement. Things that may seem small in your eyes carry eternal significance because they are born from the obedience of someone who dares to believe, to stand, and to follow what I have spoken. And my child, you are that person. If only you would lay down your excuses and take your rightful place. Imagine if Moses never stepped out of safety to face Pharaoh. Imagine if Esther never dared to approach the king. Imagine if Jonah refused to preach to Nineveh. Each of them had valid reasons to hesitate, but they chose to move forward. And because they did, a nation was delivered. A city was spared. A generation was changed. You are no different. I did not place this calling in you by chance. You carry my mark. You were anointed not to remain hidden, but to fulfill what has been divinely ordained. You are a bridge, a flame bearer, a messenger of good news to hearts that have never known what hope feels like. But you must choose. You must understand that your silence is a denial of others' right to hear. Your delay is the prolonging of someone else's pain. Your complacency is the closing of doors that were meant to be opened. Yes, you are free to refuse, but that choice will never be harmless. Because in my kingdom, no one lives for themselves alone. Each person is a link. And when one link stops working, the whole movement is delayed. I will still accomplish my purpose, but the portion intended for you will be handed to another who is bolder, more willing, more faithful. My child, I do not say this to condemn you, but to give you back the authority to begin again, because it is not too late. The lamp has not gone out. The door remains open, and the light within you, though it may be covered in dust, though dimmed by your moments of silence, can still be revived. It can still burn if you are willing to strike the match. It can still shine if you are willing to step out from hiding. Remember this: your surrender is never just about you. When you rise, others are set free. When you remain steadfast, others are strengthened. When you walk in the fullness of what I've called you to be, you give others permission to hope that they too can live that way. You are a witness, a forerunner, a leader through example. And the light you carry, when placed where it was meant to shine, will illuminate the path for generations to come. So, my child, delay no longer. Do not let fear extinguish what I have planted within you. Do not allow excuses to become the barrier that blocks the flow of life you were meant to carry. Step out, shine, obey, because on the other side of your obedience are hearts waiting to be set free. And with each bold step you take, hundreds, thousands will follow. You are not as small as you think. What you carry is not as insignificant as you've assumed. And the time for hesitation is over. Now is the moment to live as one who has been chosen. Now is the time to ignite what I have already set aflame within you, and when you do, all of heaven will rejoice. Hell will tremble, and you, yes, you, will finally know what it means to live fully aligned with the purpose for which you were created, because you were born for this very hour. And others, they are waiting for you to rise. My beloved, I know every worry that stirs within your heart. I see every uncertain step you've taken, every silent inner struggle as you wrestle between pressing forward or giving up. I see the fear in your eyes, the fear of a soul desperate to do what is right, yet haunted by the question, what if I fail? You're afraid of taking the wrong turn, afraid of letting others down, afraid you won't be good enough to carry out what I've entrusted to you. But hear me clearly, my child. I have never placed upon your shoulders the burden of success as the world defines it. I have never asked you to live up to an unreachable standard. The only thing I've ever longed for from you is obedience. Full, humble, faithful obedience. You were not born to prove something. You were not created to mimic someone else. You were formed by my very hands, in my image, filled with my breath, and called to walk in alignment with me. Success is not your destination. It is the natural result of remaining in communion with me. Fruit is not born from striving or frantic effort, but from abiding in me, in my words, in the never-mistaking guidance of my spirit. When you abide, you will see miracles, not because you are powerful, but because you believed and allowed me to move through you. But the enemy, my child, is cunning. It knows the magnitude of your potential, and so it doesn't need to destroy you. It just needs to make you doubt, delay, and hesitate. It doesn't have to lead you into blatant sin. It simply numbs your heart, slows your feet, and dims your awareness of the original call. It whispers fear of things not yet come. It clouds your vision of the greatness of the one who called you. It says, what if you fail? What if they laugh at you? What if everything falls apart? But it never says, what if you don't move? Will someone remain unreached? What if you delay? Will a door close forever? What if you stay silent? Will darkness continue unchallenged? The fear of failure is one of the most deceptive snares. It keeps you still while making you feel like you're simply being cautious. It dresses itself in the garments of wisdom, of prudence, but beneath the surface it is nothing but disguised delay, a subtle tactic the enemy uses to paralyze the strongest ones through the most convincing doubts. And what makes it dangerous is not its power, but your agreement with it. You've believed that postponing is a neutral response, that standing still is better than moving in the wrong direction. But, my child, sometimes not stepping forward is the very misstep itself. Because when you refuse to advance toward the place I've pointed, you are moving against the current of grace that I have released. You say you're afraid of the emergency, afraid of collapse, afraid of failure, afraid of the consequences. But the paradox is this: you're not afraid of the very thing that leads to those outcomes, disobedience. You worry about the result, yet you fail to guard the root. That, beloved, is the deception. The enemy distracts you with the outward symptoms of a crisis, but numbs your awareness to the deeper cause, that you have not fully responded to the call. It lures you with the illusion of safe waiting while robbing you of spiritual sharpness. It keeps your mind occupied with appearance while silently corroding your foundation. My child, I do not say this to rebuke you, but to awaken your soul. I do not recount what is already delayed to condemn you, but to let you know that there is still time. You are not required to conquer everything. You simply need to move. Obedience doesn't always begin with confidence. Often it begins in the midst of uncertainty. But what makes obedience so precious is that it is chosen even when your heart trembles. And it is precisely in those trembling steps that I reveal my power most vividly. If you wait until you feel strong enough, skilled enough, or ready enough, you will never begin. But if you trust me enough to dare to move, you will witness things beyond what you've ever imagined. Because you do not walk alone, I go before you. I walk beside you. I uphold every step you take in my name. And where I am, there is power. Where there is obedience, there will be fruit beyond what your own strength could ever produce. My beloved, you are not called to be perfect, but to be faithful. Not to foresee every detail, but to trust. Not to understand every step, but to keep your heart tender to my voice. I will not love you more when you get everything right, and I will not love you less if you make mistakes. My love for you does not change, but what I long for is to see you move, not to prove something, but to demonstrate that you trust me more than your fear. Remember this: it is in your weakness that my power is made perfect. It is through your imperfection that I accomplish greatness. I do not choose the qualified. I choose the willing. I do not use the flawless. I fill them with my very presence. And you, my child, are the riverbed through which I long to pour my living water. But you must open your heart. You must dare to walk. So let go of the fear of failure. Refuse the kind of delay that wears the mask of caution. Stand up, take a deep breath, and step forward. Not because you are sure of yourself, but because I am sure. Not because you are capable, but because I am unchanging. You don't need to see the full map. You only need to follow the light for the next step. And with every step you take, I will provide. With every word you speak under my leading, I will strengthen you. Now say this prayer: Lord, I repent for my delay. I have heard your voice many times, felt the stirring deep within my spirit, and seen unmistakable signs from heaven. Yet I hesitated. I confess that I allowed fear to take the place of faith and let human reasoning overshadow obedience. I repent not only for the slowness of my steps, but for treating lightly the moment you had consecrated. Today I do not ask for more time. I ask for a new heart, a heart that trembles at your word and is quick to move when you speak. Please forgive me and grant me the strength to no longer postpone what you have called me to again and again. Lord, I surrender to the time you have appointed. I acknowledge that my heart has been confused, and my soul has often tried to escape your sacred invitation. I made excuses, saying I was not ready, but now I understand. You are not seeking perfection, but surrender. Help me to sever ties with hesitation. Set me free from the chains of procrastination. I no longer want to walk according to the world's calendar, but in rhythm with heaven's clock. I believe the time you've chosen is the best, and today I say yes, not with conditions, not with caution, but with full trust. Lord, rekindle the fire of obedience within me. There are dreams you planted in me long ago, visions that I've hidden away in the drawers of fear and uncertainty. But today, I hear the trumpet of heaven sounding within my soul. I no longer want to live among promises I never act on. Break through the spiritual numbness. Ignite again the holy fire that once burned within. Pull me out of my artificial comfort zone and place my feet into the true current of divine destiny. I do not want to look back with regret. I want to move forward with reverence and obedience. Lord, help me act before it is too late. You have whispered, stirred, and warned, and now you speak with undeniable clarity. The time has come. I don't want to remain still while heaven is moving. I don't want to just be a hearer. I want to be a doer who rises and walks. Grant me steadfast feet to advance, discerning ears to hear your voice, and a humble heart that does not argue with what has already been declared. Deliver me from the lie that there is still time, because every moment I live to carry eternal weight. I choose to move, not for comfort, but for life. Lord, I say yes, right now, in this very moment. No more waiting for another sign. No more hoping for another emotional push. No more looking for another confirmation. You have spoken clearly, and my spirit has known it for long enough. Today I lay down every burden. I cast aside every excuse. I humble myself under your authority. Please remove the weariness of my spirit, the dullness of a faith worn thin. Breathe into me a readiness to step out in power, not by my own might, but by your Holy Spirit. This is the hour I say yes, not just with my lips, but through action, through decision, and through the entirety of my life. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. If you love the Lord, don't forget to click subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any meaningful and life-giving message from God. Together we will grow in faith and live a life fully immersed in His love. Amen.